Open your bank app right now. Look at the number. Every day while you sleep, that number buys you less than it did yesterday. Not because someone is stealing it, because the system was built this way. Most people spend 40 years saving in a place designed to make their money disappear. They retire with less than they started with and never figure out why. The fix takes one afternoon. Almost nobody does it. Picture someone you know who's good with money. They don't waste it. They don't gamble. They put a little aside every month. They have a savings account they're quietly proud of. That person is doing everything right. They are also, quietly, getting poorer every year. And they have no idea. A loaf of bread that cost £1 in 1995 costs nearly £2 today. Same bread, same shop, 30 years apart. That's inflation. 3% a year, every year, for as long as anyone alive can remember. The problem is, your savings account pays you maybe 1%. Which means every year, while you sleep, your money loses 2% of what it can actually buy. 2% sounds like nothing, until you let it run. Over 30 years, that quiet number cuts your money in half. Then in half again. By the time you're 55, the £10,000 you carefully saved at 25, it buys you what £4,000 buys today. The number on your screen hasn't moved. But what it can do in the real world has quietly walked out the door. And here's the part nobody tells you. That's not a flaw in the system. That's the system working exactly the way it was built. So if savings quietly destroys your money, what actually works? The answer has been sitting in plain sight for 100 years. It's called an index fund. And it's the single most important financial idea almost nobody explained to you growing up. The most famous one tracks the 500 biggest companies in America. Apple, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, every name you've ever heard of. Instead of trying to pick the next winning company, you buy a tiny slice of all of them at once. When they grow, your slice grows with them. Over the last 100 years, that index has returned about 7% a year after inflation. Not 7% in one good year. 7% on average, every year, for a century. Through wars, crashes, pandemics, presidents. Here's what that means in practice. The same £10,000 that becomes £4,000 in a savings account becomes £76,000 in an index fund. Same starting money, same 30 years, 19 times more real spending power. And the part that makes most people angry when they hear it for the first time. You don't need to be clever, pick winners, or watch the news. You just put the money in and leave it alone. The people who get rich from this aren't smarter than you. They just started earlier. And the best time to start is the moment you understand the math. So here's the truth nobody handed you when it mattered. Save £10,000 for 30 years, you end up with £4,000. Invested in an index fund, you end up with £76,000. Same money, same time. One choice, nobody ever showed you which one. Now you know something most people don't. Go tell someone.